Well, I just closed a deal in Boulder City that proves you can negotiate smart, be upfront, and make everybody happy. Yes, even in this market. I'm going to walk you through the strategy that we used on that deal to sell the home just slightly under asking and do some negotiations up front so there was zero drama. What's the one thing that stresses you out during negotiation? Price? Repairs, or the timeline? Place your comments below. This home was located in Boulder City, which is just outside of Las Vegas. The home was older, but it had fantastic bones. It was a single story with a terrific floor plan. And the huge thing about this property is it had fantastic views of Lake Mead. It was higher than the property below it, behind it. It was fantastic, and it even had views of the Hemingway Park in Boulder City. And anybody who knows Boulder City knows that's a huge, beautiful park, and the bighorn sheep come down. So when I was there listing the property, I was able to actually see a bighorn sheep come down off the mountain. It was fantastic. So obviously the home was desirable because of some of those views. We listed the home for $750,000, which was really right about market for that type of property. Not too high, not too low. The sellers were motivated, and they were out of state and didn't want to deal with repairs. The home was in good condition. It had some painting and flooring done, but it was outdated. The kitchen was very, very old. Some of the appliances didn't even work. Both the kitchens and bathrooms really did need some remodeling. The sellers were hesitant. They didn't want to fully remodel the home, but they also didn't want to get stuck with a large request for repairs once we got into contract. We discussed options. We discussed listing the home as is, which is what they thought they may do initially. The problem with listing your home as is that you normally attract a lot of lowball offers and investors that look for that type of property to sell as is. We decided against listing it as is and marketing it that way, and just listing it right and taking it one step at a time. Our purchase agreement here in Las Vegas doesn't have a cap on repairs. There's a clause within the agreement that says the buyer can request repairs and the seller can agree or negotiate. So the concern for my sellers is they just didn't really want to get in a situation where they accepted a price and then were hit with a large repair request during the due diligence period. We listed the home and we received an offer $10,000 under asking for $740,000. My sellers were okay with that price, but again, didn't want to be stuck with negotiating later. So what we did is we countered, saying we're going to agree to your $740,000 and we'll do $1,000 credit towards any and all repairs. So we negotiated up front for the repairs, knowing that this is what we were going to do. We kind of left it as a take it or leave it kind of scenario. Not sure what the buyer was going to do. Hey there, welcome to my channel. I'm Leslie Carver, your expert guide in all things real estate, especially if you're eyeing Henderson. I'm here to share tips, insights, and all the latest market updates to help you navigate the real estate market in Las Vegas and Henderson. Please don't forget to hit that like button, smash the subscribe, and ring the bell so you get notified of any new videos. Let's jump back into it. So back to our story. We countered back to the buyer saying, fine, we'll accept your $740,000, but we are only going to do $1,000 towards repairs. And the buyer accepted. They actually really appreciated that the seller was upfront and that we wouldn't be going back and forth. They did have a home inspection during the due diligence period, and the agent told me that a lot of items came up on the home inspection, but the buyer was okay with it. He had planned to remodel and do some updating himself. So when those came back, he just knew that that was part of why we agreed to reduce the price originally. Buyers don't just want a deal, they really appreciate honesty and communication and feeling seen throughout the process. The huge thing was that buyer's agent and I communicated and really explained where the sellers were coming from. What most people get wrong about negotiations is that they feel that it has to be aggressive. In this situation, the buyer's agent and I talked about things. We were very upfront about where my seller clients were coming from. Real estate's a small world, and the top agents, we all know each other. And because I've been doing it 29 years, you actually get a reputation in town. I have a reputation of easy to work with, so that really benefits my clients. A lot of times I'll get an offer from an agent that says, oh great, I can't wait to work with Team Carver again because you guys are so great to work with. That's a huge thing with negotiations. I actually find that sometimes the pushy, aggressive agents cause problems for their clients more so than actually helping with the transaction. Don't let your ego get in the way of clear communication. It really does help to work together with the other party. Talk to the agent and keep the ball rolling. I've had numerous times where we get an offer on one of my listings and my client's first reaction is, we're not accepting that. And of course, it's lower. Of course, we're not accepting. But I have conversations with my clients that say yes, but rather than reject or not respond at all, let's counter. You know, I'm shocked, and so are my clients. Many times the buyers will come up significantly. So if you keep the ball rolling by countering and responding, even if you're not being too negotiable on price or some of the terms, counter back and keep things moving forward. That way, you know for sure where things come up. Sometimes in the market like today, buyers will come in low, but they will come up given the opportunity. Getting a great deal together isn't just about the numbers. It's often about communication, clarity, and respect. When you hear the word negotiation, do you think about collaboration or conflict? Be honest, put your comments below. So what are some lessons for buyers and sellers? For my sellers, first off, be very honest about the condition of the property. We have a seller's real property disclosure form in Nevada, and that's the form the seller has to complete to disclose anything they're aware of. In Nevada, that disclosure says items you are aware of or should have known. So even if you're not aware, if there's something that you should have been aware of, it needs to be disclosed. So make sure you're being very thorough when completing that form. A buyer can seek treble damages. That's 3 times what they paid to repair the item if the seller didn't disclose something they should have disclosed or were aware of or should have known. I always recommend to my seller clients, always disclose. And you can do like we did and avoid repair surprises by countering upfront, negotiating something upfront. It was a little unconventional, but actually worked out fantastic. If you do get a repair request, keep in mind that it makes sense to work with the buyer. You're under contract, you already have a secured offer, and now when you get the repair request, you're aware of these items. So if you're unable to negotiate something with your current buyer and the deal falls out, well, now you have to disclose those to the next buyer anyway. So you're starting all over, looking for a new buyer, and still dealing with those repairs on the new transaction by either disclosing and negotiating a credit or handling them at that point. So you're always better to try to work with your current buyer on repair items if possible. Sometimes it's better to negotiate a little bit on price for that peace of mind. For my buyer clients, look for sellers that are fair and clear with the seller's real property disclosure and on items that they're disclosing. Don't assume all negotiations have to be aggressive. Value transparency as much as the offer and home itself. This deal worked out because both sides worked together and created a win-win. The key is really just understanding what's currently happening in the market. When we had high demand and only a 2-week supply of inventory, then at that point, I was recommending to my buyers to come in very strong. You're not going to have as much negotiability. You're going to come in at list, sometimes even over asking when we were getting some of those bidding wars. So you have to make your offer very competitive in a market like that. Today, we're in much more of a balanced market with about a 4-month supply of inventory. My sellers are negotiable. They'll look at offers and take into consideration some concessions. So make sure you're working with an agent that truly understands what's currently happening in the market and how to advise you on your offer accordingly. In today's market, I am recommending to my sellers to counter back, look at offers, and be a little bit more willing to work with the buyer to create a win-win. Not all offers have to be tense. Kindness and clarity wins. This deal reminded me of why I absolutely love what I do. When both parties walk away feeling good about the transaction, it's a win-win. Are you looking for more real estate insights about Las Vegas and Henderson? Please check out one of my other videos popping up on the screen. I appreciate you for hanging out with me, and I'll catch you on the next one.